What's up, guys? My name's Levi. I am from Cochrane, Alberta. This is Shred's Shop, and we're going to tell you everything that you need to know and you don't already know about Powell Peralta. In 1974, George Powell, an aeronautic engineer, actually started making decks for his son right in his garage. At this time, Stacy Peralta is actually already a pro skateboarder with the Zephyr team. In 1976, George Powell actually got laid off from his job in the aerospace industry. He then began experimenting making skateboards for Sims. He started testing new materials like fiberglass and aluminum. At this point, Stacy Peralta is the #1 ranked skateboarder in the world. This year is also the year that Stacy Peralta and Tony Alva designed the Vans Era. In 1977, George Powell actually started his own brand, the Powell Corporation. He started designing decks using maple and aluminum. He's also designing white polyurethane wheels called the Bones. In 1978, Stacy Peralta and George Powell, they go into business together, and that's where we get Powell and Peralta. Ray Rodriguez is their first pro, and VCJ does the artwork, the now famous skull and sword graphic we have now. So George Powell and Stacy Peralta were actually a great team because George Powell was the ultimate product designer, always looking for new materials and new ways to make stuff, and Stacy Peralta was the ultimate marketing team manager. If you go on Netflix, you can actually watch the Bones Brigade documentary. You also get the impression that Stacy was a bit of a father figure and taught these skaters about having a career that had longevity. In 1979, Stacy Peralta, he's announced the Skater of the Year by Skateboarder magazine. That same year, he retires from pro skating, and then he formed the Bones Brigade crew, which was made up of Alan Gelfand, Steve Caballero, Mike McGill, and Ray Rodriguez. In 1981, Powell Peralta released pro models from Jay Smith, Alan Gelfand, Mike McGill, Steve Caballero, and Rodney Mullen. In 1982, the first Tony Hawk board was released. It doesn't sell very well that year, but today that same board would be worth over $10,000. That same year, Bones Brigade wins basically every contest they go to. Their sales also triple. In 1984, Powell Peralta released their very first video, called the Bones Brigade Video Show.
Now this is a skateboard.
This is the first real skate video to come out. Their budget was $15,000 and they sold 30,000 copies. In 1985, Powell Peralta, they released their second video called Future Primitive. This is also the same year that Back to the Future comes out on the big screen. In 1987, Powell Peralta releases The Search for Animal Chin. That was their most famous video. They built an insane ramp to film the video in the desert outside Oceanside, California. This video focused on vert with little to no freestyle in the video. They also launched their ad campaign, Skateboarding is Not a Crime. Fun fact, that same year, most of the Bones Brigade actually appeared in Police Academy 4. In 1988, Rodney Mullen and Mike Vallely, they quit Powell Peralta to join forces with Rocco, and they started a brand called World Industries. They invest $30,000 of their own money, that's Powell Peralta money that they made back then. Fast forward to 1998, they actually sell World Industries for $20 million. In 1989, there was a Gleaming the Cube cameo. Powell Peralta by this time is making $30 million a year. In 1988, Powell Peralta, they released their fourth video called Public Domain, followed by Ban This in 1989. In 1990, the trend of skaters leaving big companies to ride for smaller brands is exploding. The big three, Santa Cruz, Vision, and Powell Peralta, they're all losing steam. That same year, Tommy Gurreiro leaves Powell Peralta to start Real Skateboards with Jim Tebow. Powell also releases a video called Propaganda this year. In 1991, Blind Skateboards actually releases their Dear George ad, making an attack on Powell Peralta. This was a famous ad that was actually the beginning of the end for Powell and Peralta. What Blind actually did that year was took Powell and Peralta's most famous graphics and made spoofs of them, so that anyone left riding Powell and Peralta boards looked like kooks. For more information on the Dear George ad, make sure you hit the link below. Also in 1991, Stacy Peralta, he left Powell and Peralta to pursue his film career. He made lots of movies and commercials, including Dogtown and Z-Boys documentary and Lords of Dogtown movie. He also worked with Tony Hawk, making the video game series Tony Hawk Pro Skater. At this point, Stacy Peralta and George Powell aren't seeing eye to eye on how to run their company. Stacy wants to split up Powell Peralta and give all the big name guys their own brands. George sees this as a bad idea economically and wants to keep Powell Peralta together. This is also at a point that street skating is taking over and vert skating is dying a little bit. This same year, Powell Peralta releases two videos, one called 8 and the other one called Celebrity Tropical Fish. In 1992, Tony Hawk and Per Willander leave Powell Peralta to found Birdhouse. This same year, Lance Mountain actually starts the firm. Mike McGill also retires from pro skating and he starts McGill's Skate Shop. Steve Caballero is actually the only remaining original member of the Bones Brigade. In 1993, George Powell, he reforms Powell Skateboards and continues designing gear. Fast forward to 2006, after spending over a decade apart from not talking, Stacy and George actually slowly start to talk again at the request of Lance Mountain. After over 20 years of them splitting up and not talking, the Bones Brigade documentary comes out and they actually mend fences and push their names together to bring you Powell Peralta and their products come back on the market. In 2011, VCJ actually rejoins the Powell Peralta crew and starts making artwork for the brand again. In 2016, Powell Peralta is inducted in the Skateboarding Hall of Fame. In 2018, Powell Peralta comes out with a hit technology called Flight Deck, which actually is a big hit for all the big boys having more board durability. In 2019, they're still releasing limited Powell Peralta products that are all handmade in the Santa Barbara, California area in limited quantities, and they're all numbered. Here are some notable Bones Brigade members from over the years. Tony Hawk, Steve Caballero, Lance Mountain, Mike McGill, Rodney Mullen, Tommy Gurreiro, Kevin Harris, Bucky Lassick, Andy Mack, Guy Mariano, Colin McKay, Mike Vallely, Danny Way. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name's Levi, again from Shred Shop in Cochrane, Alberta. Comment below, right below, let us know what you think about this review, but also subscribe and like these videos so we can put out more content about tons of history, tons of products. Let us know in your comments what next brand should we do all the history of and all the facts about. Peace.
My whole life I saw dudes I loved come and go. Come and go. I shouldn't even have been in a position to have it, much less fade away. And you gave me that opportunity. It's bad. I mean, all you guys gave me that opportunity. I shouldn't even have been in it, in my opinion.